Hi there once again, I'm Ricky Fleming, I'm from Moshville Times. I'm delighted to be welcomed by Matt Davidson, the guitarist for Repulsive Vision, as well as a host of other bands, but tonight we're going to be talking about Repulsive Vision. So Matt, how have you been? It's been a crazy world with this lockdown. How have you been coping? Are you still working, etc.?
I am doing all right, mate. Just keeping working. I've never stopped working from the start. Key worker as such. And it's just been crazy. With less workers, a lot of them have been furloughed and then made redundant.
Yeah.
It's been a learning curve recently. I will say that. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Yeah, just been working from home. I was actually made redundant about a month ago, but I was
Oh,
lucky.
you kidding?
No, I was lucky enough to get a job within 3 days, so I've been very, very lucky. So have you been working from home, or you've been going into the office and such?
I know into the office. I work in a stores team, so a warehouse. I kind of need to be there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, at least you've got some kind of normality then. So with the lockdown, so have you been using this time constructively and written more songs?
Do you know, actually, I've written 13 new songs for a new album.
You haven't released a second one yet.
I, I'm always terrified of releasing the second album and then something happens and it goes viral or whatever. I mean, it's unlikely,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden some label says, right, I need you to provide me with an album in 6 months, and I can't do it.
yeah,
Because I've gone through about 2 years of creative drought. Just not after I wrote the second album, I've just done nothing writing wise.
yeah,
So as soon as I've got inspiration, I work at it.
yeah,
Like then's the time to do it.
yeah,
So I think that this new stuff, it's definitely a step further into the direction that we were going with this one. A bit more thrash.
yeah. So when did you stop writing for the second one, and when did you start writing for the third?
Oh God, I think the vast majority of it was written. I think we released the first album in 2017,
Yeah,
and we'd already started writing a few of this. We'd already started playing a few of those songs live at
yeah,
that point.
yeah,
Because we've been writing the first album for a long, long time. It just whenever I say, "Oh yeah, we formed in 2010," it's truthful, but at the same time, we weren't really a band as such, a proper band, till about 2015.
yeah,
So that first 5 years, we were kind of melding the songs and kind of getting used to it.
yeah,
So that when we did the first album, it was kind of stuff that was already 5 years old at the time when we were about to record it. And then when it was released in 2017, I had a good chunk of material. We'd started working together on new stuff, and I think we finished writing it. I think, well, we actually completed writing it when we were like a month away from the studio, because we were still kind of chopping and changing stuff. But yeah. And then this one, I think I had one or two songs that were kind of half finished, and then I've just gone straight into it.
So the 13 songs then, is it just the guitar parts that are fully written, or have you actually got the drums and everything recorded as well, or what stage is that?
Oh, whenever I write, I write everything onto Guitar Pro.
Okay,
So I will program the drums. I'll write the bass parts. I will usually stick to just instruments at that point: guitar, bass, and drums.
yeah,
Then I'll create a little demo and then play it till I hate it,
yeah,
and then chop it up and change it and think, okay, that needs to be 4 times rather than 2, or I'm playing that too often. And it's a good way of presenting to the band what I've got in mind. Then, of course, everything's up for grabs. If the structure doesn't suit, then we'll change that. I'm so lucky to have great musicians like Mark, our bass player, is incredible, just coming up with weird little bits that I thought, I never even thought of that. Our drummer's great, and he'll just add this little fill here that I had like. That's incredible. It just elevates the music, and I think that's the big difference between the first one that was largely written by me on my own on a laptop,
yeah,
and the second one where we've all kind of worked together, knowing each other's strengths.
yeah, yeah. So with the lockdown still pretty much happening here in Scotland, we seem to be like a few weeks behind you. So how are you guys communicating your ideas to each other then?
A lot of Facebook Messenger.
Yeah,
We've been practicing over the past few weeks, so obviously socially distanced. We've got quite a good practice room that's our own.
All right.
So we can just kind of come and go as we please, So, we got so sick.
You've had quite a few jamming sessions then, yeah?
Oh yeah, at least once a week, and largely it's kind of been more getting us back up to speed. I mean, obviously you've heard the album, the speed at which some of these songs are. If you're not doing it constantly, you need to kind of be practicing,
Yeah. Because I just had an interview with a band up in Aberdeen, and they haven't seen each other since March, so you guys seem to be quite lucky at the moment.
Absolutely. We did have a good 4 months off, probably from March to, it might not have been 4 months, but we've been practicing probably for about a month now.
Yeah. And so the 4 months, is that where you wrote a lot of the 13 songs? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great, Matt. Thank you very much. So you're releasing your second album, Necrovictology. See, you tried to get me there, but I said it right. On the 21st of August of this year. So how have the reviews been so far, and how does it feel to get this album out there for all the old school maniacs to hear?
Well, the reviews so far, we've heard only a few now. I mean, we'll hopefully be hearing a few more in the next few weeks,
Yeah.
Reviews have been relatively positive. I think it's quite obvious when you listen to the Carcass, the Entomb, the Obituary kind of comments, which are constantly there, and everyone has to mention the punk element, the short songs, but evolving from the last album and taking it a bit more technical.
Yeah.
As we've kind of got more of a kind of, I wouldn't say progressive, that's a bit unfair, but it's kind of it's elevated the musicianship with what we've done, and I think that's kind of what's been seen with it. I am so ready to get this album out.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Playing the same songs from the first album for so long, and you just think, well, I can't wait to finally get this one out. And I think this is more us.
Yeah. So you're happy with the sound that you've got this time?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that the production's fantastic. Dean did a phenomenal job. He's done a great job. We worked with a few local producers to actually record the individual instruments, and then we sent it over to our guy to get it mixed, and phenomenal. And I remember listening to it the first time thinking, yeah, that's the sound we wanted.
Yeah, yeah. So to coincide with the release, are you planning to release a video or anything like that?
Well, actually, strangely enough, we have a video. Well, hush hush, but we're supposed to be premiering it tomorrow with the new single.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is all whether we can actually get it out on time, but I think it'll either be this week or next Friday with the album.
Yeah. So how was the video made then? What's it about? What's the song? What can you tell us?
We've done a video on Other Than Divine, and it's bittersweet, to be honest, because we had a full plan, like a storyboard made up of what we were going to do, because Other Than Divine's about faith healers.
Yeah.
And we wanted to try and have this huge kind of theatrical, kind of like we did with Premature Burial on the first album, something a bit more kind of story driven.
Yeah.
And we had this huge idea, and of course COVID hit. So it's like, we need a video, we want something, and to me, I think Other Than Divine has some of the most, has the strongest lyrics for me, and it was kind of like a teamwork effort, because I think Gary's our drummer is a phenomenal lyricist, and me and him worked together on those ones, and I think it says everything we needed to say about it, and I can't wait to see what. I won't say who's made it yet, but he has made a huge name in the underground scene. He's a great lyric video maker, and I can't wait to show it to you.
I'm looking forward to it as well, mate. Looking forward to it as well. So for those that are new to the band then, so how would you say it compares to the debut album, and do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for with your latest album?
I would say the first one, definitely, it was kind of more of a, I don't want to say basic, but it's kind of my initial idea with all this was I've always been a massive fan of punk, Punk's been a very important thing to me, you know, throughout my life, you know. So I've never been into the whole fantasy lyric kind of thing. So I've always been very true to life with my ideas and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, I love death metal. It's huge. So I wanted to combine all of that into something that was honest, was energetic.
Yeah.
Because I was in it was kind of like a death doom band before that, and I can't hack doom playing doom live. So you know, I love doom, but I just can't play it live. And
You like the faster?
I think that. Sorry.
You like the faster moments?
Oh, totally. It's just all of energy. And the first one, I think I was just kind of picking apart what I liked from Obituary and Entombed, and putting it together and thinking, right, okay, that fits, and there's a Discharge section here, and you know, and that sounds cool. This time round, I've been able to, because I had my own echo chamber where I was writing it myself for myself with no aspirations to do anything further.
Yeah.
Then once I got a team together who were kind of saying, well, what about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Also, I'm not the best lyricist in the world. Being able to work with those guys to kind of offer something that I hadn't actually prepared for, hadn't considered, it does, as I said it before, it elevates the song, you know. And I think that you can become very sterile writing all of the material yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's the biggest difference out of it. The sound in itself, I think we could probably do a bit more in the thrash kind of side. I've been loving playing a lot of this thrash, and a lot of the new stuff is very thrash, you know. So who knows?
You bringing in influences that are on your shirt?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, you know, I was a fan of those. I was a big thrash fan when I was in like my late teens, and I hadn't listened to them in ages. Then I played with them in Stockholm.
Yeah.
And back to the childhood, and I've been listening to them again ever since. You know,
it's a country I've always wanted to visit. It's still on my bucket list. Sweden, Norway. Oh, I've got to go there. Got to go there. You're a lucky guy.
Oh, honestly, I've been to Oslo, I've been to Bergen, I've been to Stockholm. Absolutely beautiful, all of them. Highly recommended.
I'm not jealous. I'm just going to end this interview now, right? Well, you've talked to me a bit about the sound then, but is there anything that was done differently between the two albums, like the way it was recorded, or anything between the debut and Necrovictology?
Yeah, we were able to take a lot more time on this one. You know, the last one we went into the studio for 3 days and recorded the entire thing.
Okay.
So drum tracks, guitar tracks, vocals, everything was done in 3 days. And obviously, you know, we weren't good to ourselves those days. We were hungover to hell, like for most of it. But you know, I did 12 hours of guitar takes just with the worst headache. You know, and surprisingly, I ended up sounding okay. You know, and this time I think we wanted to pay a bit more attention and do more, get a thicker sound. I think the drums sound better this time round. I think the bass is more prominent. I think the biggest mention there is the vocals. Like, we were able to take a lot of time on vocals, especially backing vocals, and he double tracked a lot to Dan. You know, he did a great job of layering it up, almost Glenn Benton level, kind of getting his lows and highs mixed up. And it again, I absolutely love the way it's worked out, because we were able to take that extra time.
Yeah. So maybe in the future then, would you actually maybe revisit the debut album? Would you like to record it again? Is there a couple of wee things that you would like to change?
There's a few things that I look back on it and think, I wish I'd done that, and it's stuff that we play live. We play it a certain way live now.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I was talking with the band about one of our old songs, like giving it a rehash, like taking some of the riffs and doing something with it.
Yeah.
You know, giving a remix, so to speak. You know, do like a return to, like Megadeth return to Hanger. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that had we have recorded it kind of in the 80s when the production wasn't quite as good, then I could understand. I can understand the whole like First Strike Still Deadly and the Bonded by Blood one, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's for us.
Yeah.
Unless in 20 years, you know, you just never know.
That's it. That's it. So, so death metal in the UK has had mixed results in terms of success over the years. So, I mean, if you were to talk to any metal fan about death metal, they would say it came from Sweden or Florida. So, where would you say Repulsive Vision come in? And while success is maybe not a motivator for the band, what are your goals for the band?
My goal has always been to, well, firstly to enjoy myself. You know, we don't make death metal to make money. You know,
Yeah.
there's very few bands. I mean, you know, your Venom Prisons and your like Blood Incantation, who are starting to make a bit of, you know, they're selling a lot of merchandise and they're making a name for themselves. But for the most part, death metal just, you know, it's not really. You have to be doing it because you love it, and that's really the main goal out of it. You know, where we sit in the geographical side, I mean, musically, I think we take a bit from everything. You know, I'm in love with Swedish death metal, as you know, obviously Wubath. You know, I'm in love with German thrash. I'm in love with British death metal. You know, most people when we go over to, you know, the States or Europe, say, "Wow, you sound really British." Carcass, Benediction, you know, it's so obvious to them how British we sound. And, you know, I think that although the big names tend to be from Florida, from New York, you know, from, you know, Sweden, I think that it does a disservice to some of the biggest in the genre, like Carcass and Napalm Death, you know. And I think that Britain, although not usually mentioned, no one really kind of talks about British death metal, but it's such a strong. I mean, Britain is pretty good for extreme metal in general.
Yeah.
You know, for its doom, you know, it's Nuoven.
Yeah.
You know, it's great.
There is a strong underground scene here, but unfortunately, that's where it stays. It stays an underground scene for the vast majority of the bands, but there is a lot of good talent out there. It's just getting recognised and somebody seeing you at the right time at the right place and getting noticed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Matt. So how are the songs constructed in the studio then? So are there main songwriters of the songs that take care of everything, or is Repulsive Vision now a band where all members contribute to the songs?
A bit of both. Usually, what I'll do is I will construct a backbone of the song on Guitar Pro. You know,
Yeah.
I'll program a basic drum beat of what I kind of have in mind for it. I'll
Yeah.
work out the bass line. I'll try and work out the guitars. You know, and then I'll go into Studio One. I'll put my drums onto there. I'll re-record it as like a demo. I'll then present it to the band, see what they think, get them to critique it. You know, then they'll spend over the next however many months just kind of picking it apart and saying, okay, I like this bit, I like that bit. Can we do that riff again? Can we scrap that riff? You know,
Yeah.
Even if it's down to a little bit of a drum fill.
Yeah.
You know, so basically, although the meat is kind of done prior, you kind of starting out with basic backbone and then letting them do the work afterwards.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, I mean, when the project first started, I wrote all the lyrics. But now I've got a team of, our singer Dan doesn't do any of the lyrics, but he tends to put, his strength is kind of knowing inflection and knowing how to say things at a certain point and, you know, accenting things. But yeah, usually all of it comes about in rehearsal, you know, and then once it's done, we've got it pretty tight and we know what we're doing, you know, we'll say it's done then.
Yeah. Thanks for that again, Matt. So I've known you guys for some time on social media then. Things seems to be very settled on the band members front. So how would you say you keep it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song?
Oh yeah, it's a strong, hard dictatorship. I get to say no to anyone else.
I was actually thinking of that when you were saying like you put all the riffs together and you let the guys think about it. What happens if they say, nah, doesn't work?
They know where the door is. In all seriousness, we kind of, it all kind of depends on the party usually, because what will happen is we'll discuss it the part will get presented. We'll attempt it with that kind of section. Say if there's someone that says, "Can we do this riff here?" and we'll test it, and we'll be honest about it. It's usually kind of a democracy, you know. We'll kind of say, "Okay, two of us think it's good, one thinks it's bad. Okay, well the two of us win," you know.
Yeah.
So although you know, there's been very few situations when that's been the case. More often than not, it's like, "Oh, I'm going to do this part over your guitar part." It's like, "That sounds great. Do that," you know.
Yeah.
There's very few times when there's been arguments that have kind of,
Yeah.
you know, over a 4 count here.
Yeah. That's good to hear. It's good cohesive. So that's good. So you're obviously hail from Cumbria. So what's the Cumbria scene like then? And would you like to give a shout out to any local bands?
In death metal or just extreme metal in general?
Extreme metal in general then, and we'll go for that.
Well, Cumbria is quite a strange one because there isn't like a major city that, like say Manchester or Leeds, that's devoted to a very like concise following. You know, we have some cool death metal bands like Triverse Massacre.
Yeah.
Up in Carlisle, you know, we've got Thy Demise in Workington or as a wave, and Severe Lacerations. Obviously, we've got Thy Dying Light in Barrow as well. Our bassist band, Redshift. They were more of a kind of progressive Dream Theater kind of style band.
Yeah.
But it's not very strong on metal in a sense, but at the same time, what we have got is a dedicated fan base.
That's what I was going to say. So when you play live in the area, then do you always get a good response?
Depends.
Yeah.
No, I think that usually when we do these things, we kind of do them every 6 months or so. We'll do like an almost fatal fest or a funeral fest.
Yeah.
Where we'll get 12 bands, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get them all together, and it all makes sense. You know, as I said, last time we had a Northwest Metal Fest, we had the Triverse Massacre, we had us, Thy Demise, Thy Dying Light. We had Shrike on as well. They were great. I think they're from Lancaster or somewhere. But, you know, just as much as we could, you know, Prospect Zero, a punk band was local, you know, we want to try and get as much local talent on one bill. So, you know, of course, we've got James from Ward 16 from Barrow as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
cool. Thank you very much, Matt. So unfortunately, there will not be any live shows in the near future then. So did you have any plans for maybe the summer, or have you got maybe plans for next year now?
Oh, single tier. Oh, yeah, we had some plans, which I will not divulge as of yet, you know. But we've been confirmed for a few festivals over in Europe. We've just had to move our slot at Skulls of Metal in Spain till next October. We're going to be playing Ritual by Death Fest in Camden, which has now been moved to November, so at least that's coming up soon. We've got gig in Plymouth coming up in January. It's going to be, I mean, obviously COVID kind of has a stranglehold on all kind of plans, and you don't really want to make any steps in that kind of direction, you know.
Yeah.
But we have got some contacts we've been planning on. I've got a contact in Italy that I'm talking to at the moment, trying to get a couple of dates over there.
Excellent.
We'd love to go back to Portugal.
Excellent. Well, you're not going to be in a couple of festivals with Woombath as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Would be a long evening for you.
Honestly, this year was going to be really good, you know. we had some stateside gigs, we had some European. It's honestly been terrible.
Yeah, the only thing that you can say about it is you're not falling behind anybody. Everybody's in the exact same boat as yourself, so it's not as if you're lagging behind. But when it all clears up, there's going to be like gigs every single night of the week. You know, the punters are going to be spoiled, so
it's going to be packed.
Yes, the good thing is everybody's wanting to go to gigs, you know. But best of luck to you, man. Best of luck to you. So what's next for Repulsive Vision then? You've got the album coming out. You've got the video coming out. Anything else happening?
I think we're going to be doing a new run of merch. we've got, I mean, as with the last question, you know, we've got a load of plans, but how we're going to move on with them is really up to the
Yeah,
situation at hand, you know.
yeah,
We'll always continue practicing, and once we feel we're back up to speed with the set, we're going to start working on the new material and get it all sorted, because getting it written is only the beginning. You know, we've got to really kind of tailor it to the point where we feel it's comfortable to play live. Then once we do start live, there's a lot of bands, as you said, that band that's not met up since March. You know, there's got to be some kind of um, you know, knockback from that. You know,
yeah,
it's we want to be at our best with the new album coming out. We want to make sure that we're selling
yeah,
and uh,
yeah,
and turning heads rather than stomachs. You know.
yeah. And certainly when you're going to be playing live next, say in 6 months' time, you've got all the new songs for the second album, but you'll probably want to play a couple of new songs that you've already written for the third. So you're going to be spoilt for choice rather than just doing all the first album all the time. So I can imagine you
Absolutely.
fight about what songs are going to be in the set list.
I think there's some staples in there. There's some real staples that we all agree on, or ones that have been kind of like blackballed. there's, there's certain ones where we kind of thought this sounds great, and then when you get onto when you're playing a European festival and you're playing someone else's drum kit, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
yeah, there's been some that have been like, yeah, we're not doing that one.
yeah.
But you know,
Another step up for the band as well is like the record's getting released through a label. What's the name again?
Emanzipation.
See, I was letting you say that. I knew that. I was just letting you say that. Emancipation. So how did that all come about then? Did you have quite a few offers on the table, but they were the best one for you? You felt right?
Well, to be honest, I think that it was something of a loyalty kind of thing, really. Our first record was released on Mighty, who really saved us, really got us out of the shit, you know, with the situation. You know,
Yeah,
we'd originally been signed to a record label. I won't say their name, but we were signed to them. We had an album release party, but thankfully we had a 90-day clause that we had an album release party without an album. They basically didn't print them, didn't send them, but because it wasn't sent to us on that 90th day, we could get out of the contract.
yeah,
But by that point, we've done the promotion, we've done all that, and thankfully, Mighty came back at the right time, offered us an amazing deal, especially for an unknown band like us, and it propelled us so much further.
yeah,
Now, Emancipation is Mighty, but it's a subsidiary,
yeah,
so it's the same label, but it's focused on death metal purely,
yeah,
especially old school. You know, so now bands like Brutality and Creeping Flesh. Who else is on the label?
I love
I
Brutality.
can't pronounce the name, but it's like Putreon. Thorium as well are on the label, and they're all bands that were on the previous label with us who've moved across. You know, and to be honest, it's great to see that they're putting so much focus on that style because it is a niche style, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's where it came about. Was basically we worked with them for several years during the Look Past the Gore cycle, and then we played there. They have a festival called Nordic Noise that they usually do in Copenhagen, and we did the one in Newcastle. So and basically we were able to play live for them for the first time, and pretty much immediately they said, "We want to hear your new album. We want to move on this." And they offered us a great deal, CDs and vinyl, and you know, and
it's like I said.
we couldn't say no.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, you got just somebody seeing you in the right place at the right time. You hit it off, mate. Well played, well played. So, just one or two wee questions left. So, what guitars do you have, and what did you use for recording the new album? Then,
I've been a Les Paul player ever since I was 12. You know, my first guitar was an Epiphone Les Paul, and I've been playing them ever since. You know, currently at the moment I'm playing it's an Epiphone Les Paul Custom with EMG pickups, Sunburst, and you know it just sounds great. It plays great. You know, it's so versatile, and it's chunky without being too chunky, you know. And I think that's always been what I've needed. You know, I've had Ibanez's, I've tried all that, and the thin neck and the low action just does nothing for me. I've never been a shredder. I've been more of a blues kind of style, as you can probably tell by my solos. I'm not much of a virtuoso kind of player. So for me, Les Pauls have always just, you know, you can feel that you're wearing it. You know, you can feel everything that you're doing. It feels so natural to me. So
yeah.
Beyond that, I mean, I play a bass that's practically a Les Paul bass version. You know, so that's all I've ever used. You know.
Yeah. So when you're playing a gig live, then how many guitars do you bring up with you on tour?
Just one. Just the one.
What happens if a string breaks?
I start crying in the corner. I've become very quick at changing strings. Well, strangely enough, I was quite notorious for snapping strings during gigs, and I changed strings from Ernie balls to elixirs, and the difference is
huge,
amazing. You know, I've managed to record a full album, play several gigs on one set of strings, and I could never do that with Ernie ball. And as a result, I trust them a lot. If there's any technical issues with my guitar, then I'm screwed. But
yeah,
you know, I think it's got to the point where I'm used to learning how to play a song without that string. You know,
something talking from experience.
Oh yeah, there's a great story. We played in Croatia at this Go to Hell festival, and with Ginger and Sinister, and our bass player snapped the top string, the bottom string on his 5-string.
Right.
Like, how do you snap a low B on a 5-string during the first song? So he just like, oh well, I'm just gonna have to make. So he just tuned the next strings down, and it worked, you know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Matt, for this interview then. So if people want to find out about Repulsive Vision, where will we find you on social media then?
I would say that the best place to get in touch with us would be Facebook, Facebook/Repulsive Vision. We have Twitter, RV Metal, I think it is. We have Instagram. We're fairly new to Instagram, but we're starting to kind of post a bit more and try and add a little bit further there. On top of that, you're more than welcome to email me personally, and if you want any kind of personal request or anything like that, then feel free to message. But yeah, we have like Reverb Nation and Last FM and the old decrepit, obsolete things that we all remember.
Yeah. I was just talking, I had an interview last night actually with a Scottish band called In Extremis, and it was like they released stuff from 1990 to 94 and stuff, and it was all the tape trading, all the writing the letters, all the photocopying flyers, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's total change days now, but now it's just a click of a button they can find you now. But it's made the scene what it is today. So hey,
absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you once again, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the best with the release date. It's the 12th. When is it again? The
21st.
21st. So I wish you all the best with the release, and take care of yourself, and best wishes to Repulsive Vision.
I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. Really appreciate your support.
No worries, Matt.
Cheers.
Cheers.